Good morning. Good morning. Welcome to another week, the last week in April. This has definitely been the fastest passing month of the year, but I am mad at it because I've been steadily busy, steadily making things happen and executing in April. So I welcome the time flying by because I know that I'm getting 1% better daily, which is exactly what we're here to do. Now we've got a week chock full of important economic data. We've got Fedspeak, we've got Powell Q&A. We've got inflation running hot. We've got earnings from some of the biggest companies in the world. So that only underscores how important it is to be here for these sessions when we have them, because of all the different balls that are in the air, right? Everything that's in play. We had a great week last week, day trade wise, swing wise. Not everything worked, but not everything will. You just got to make sure that the majority of them work. And even when the minority work, that they work big, right? Big in your favor. You can win, 4 or 5 out of 10 trades, but as long as you're winning big and you're losing small, you'll still be winning over time. So that's what you're aiming to do. Make the right decisions, hold them when you need to hold them, fold them when you need to fold them, and continue to trek forward. But I'm excited this week to navigate everything that we have going on, to lay out the game plan for everything that we have going on, and to execute that, of course, because that's what we're here about, in this community. So welcome. If you're new here, this is the pre-market prep session. On Monday specifically, it's a very special session. It's the deluxe session, right? We're going over the important news, laying out the groundwork for this week, but also the Monday specific news. So every other day we're laying out, okay, this is our Tuesday news, our Wednesday news, what's going on, what's happening. Monday we lay out the whole landscape so that we can understand how we're going to attack it, right? You want to think of every week in the market like a different Indy 500 race, or definitely not saying that correctly. Maybe a different NASCAR race or a different F1 race. It's all a different track, right? Racers don't come to different tracks with different conditions with the same game plan. That's how the market is. Each and every week, there are new conditions that mean that you need to adjust your game plan, right? And Monday is the most specific day for that because that's when we lay out, okay, this is what we got Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. This is going to be the overarching sentiment that guides the moves that we make over the course of the week, right? So if you go into a week expecting to be day trading heavily and you don't get those types of conditions, you're going to have a bad week. If you go into a week expecting it to, be a slow week and it's a fast week, then you might miss out on some things. I'm fine with missing out on things rather than chasing things and absolutely crushing my account. Right, because I've been there and I've done that. Been doing this for a while. No need to revisit old lessons. If you find yourself continuously faced with the same issues, it's because you're not learning the lesson that you need to learn, right? And that's what I've learned over time, and learned from people, much smarter and much older and much more successful than me. But I try to pick up the pieces, right? Even if they aren't older, even if they're younger, right? If you're doing something in a way that I want to be doing it, I want to pick up the pieces. So if you're facing the same trial over and over and over again, it's because you are not passing that trial, right? So you need to change things up in order to pass that trial, or you will continue to face it. So let's pass these trials together, put one foot in the other, in front of the other, and get 1% better daily. That's what we're about here in this community. So make sure you're dropping that one in the chat, signifying your intention to get 1% better by the end of this session. It's very, very important. State your intention. Otherwise, you're just out here free balling and free flowing, and that does not bring consistent money in your pocket, right? And that's what we want. So let's dive into the week ahead, and then we're going to get into our Monday news specifically. All right. Monday, April 28th. Let's do it. Let's finish April strong. Let's finish it strong as crap and absolutely just pound our fist into the face of fate. I'm ready to execute this week, right? In whatever form that looks like. In terms of this week, top news, it's a big week on the macro front with the Federal Reserve meeting and jobs report. Investors will look for more direction on whether the economy is heating or cooling. The interest rate policy statement from the FOMC will be watched more for for any verbiage changes, with futures trading implying a 97% probability the interest rates will be kept at their current levels. So right now, that's the expectation, right? Interest rates are kept where they are. That's the expectation. It's a 97% expectation. I think they'll remain the same. Pretty much everyone does. So there's not really a shock that's going to come on that front. It's going to be whatever Powell says afterward in the Q&A session. We have a very specific way that we go about trading Fed days. It's worked very well for us, and I will continue to look to execute in that exact way this week. When you have a system, there's no reason to mess it up. That's why it's so important to be a part of a community that has a system, right? You will spend years and years and years sifting through the, treasure trove yet labyrinth of information is the internet when you try and piece things together yourself, right? Like, oh, how do I make the perfect this, or how do I trade that, or you will come across millions of different opinions, millions of different ways to execute, and you know what that'll amount to in the long run? Absolutely nothing. Right, a confused mind does nothing. When you have 20 different things you're trying to do, oh, I'm going to trade this style. Actually, I'm going to try this style. Oh, I'm going to try this. You end up not being able to get far enough in any of them to make any actionable difference. And eventually you run out of that stamina and you give up, right? Find a community, go full force there, ingrain yourself in what's going on, learn that mindset, learn to execute, and operate according to the system, and things will go right, right? But it's that the day of the dilettante, that's really what the 2020s have been, where it's like you try 1,000 different things, but you really have to go pick up pieces along the way, but make sure that major vision stays consistent and you're moving within that major vision, and you're taking actionable steps to make that come to pass. Let's see here. Fed Chair Jerome Powell's Q&A will be closely watched for any hints on when the Fed might consider its first rate cut of the cycle. In corporate earnings, major reports are due from a wide range of companies across sectors, including ConocoPhillips, ticker COP, Pfizer, ticker PFE, Coca-Cola, ticker KO, McDonald's, ticker MCD, and Starbucks, ticker SBUX. Apple, ticker AAPL, and Amazon, ticker AMZN, wrap up reports from the Magnificent Seven. So, biggest companies in the world, right, reporting this week. Powell speaking this week. Economic data dropping this week. This is a week that is littered with landmines. So you've got to be able to say, okay, I know that this is happening on this day. Have your reminders set, right? Tell your trusty voice assistant, tell your phone, do whatever you need to do. Put it on a sticky note, right? If you keep getting snuck up on by the same events, it's because you're not doing what you need to do in order to prepare for those events. So I don't care if you need 1,000 sticky notes, if you need a dry erase board, do what you need to do, right? You do what you need to do in order to make sure that you're ready to execute, and kind of navigate what we have going on here. So make sure that you. For me, it's telling Alexa. I tell Alexa, hey, remind me of this, remind me of that, remind me of this. And in that way, I don't have to stick to my own memory, which I know, since I'm often doing a lot and intrigued by a lot and learning a lot, is often all over the place, right? So I'm going to make sure she holds me accountable and I continue to execute where I want to execute. Cruise line operator Viking Holdings will launch its IPO. We don't care. While AP Moller Maersk will officially spin off its towage and marine services activities unit. Chinese electric vehicle makers NIO, Li Auto, might be NIO, might be NIO, I don't know. Li Auto and Xpeng will update on monthly deliveries, which could impact Tesla's share price if anything looks dramatic. Last I saw, Tesla was starting to push pre-market there. Earnings news for Monday. NXPI Semiconductors, or excuse me, NXP Semiconductors, their ticker is NXPI. On Semiconductor, ticker on. MicroStrategy, ticker MSTR. So those are already a few names that have been interesting in terms of either the sector that they're in, or it kind of being more like a meme stock type of thing. NXP Semiconductors and On Semiconductor both are in the semiconductor space, which is very hot because of AI. MicroStrategy, we'll talk more about AI obviously in June. MicroStrategy, ticker MSTR. They are invested heavily in Bitcoin. So with all the news surrounding Bitcoin, MicroStrategy and Michael Saylor, they can get a lot of clout heading into this. So we'll see. MSTR might have some high expectations given Bitcoin's run and then their earnings coming up. So could be a little crypto proxy with MSTR. But just remember earnings. If you wouldn't flush down the toilet, don't play it on earnings. Domino's Pizza, ticker DPZ. Chegg and Medifast also report today. We've got Amazon on Tuesday, Eli Lilly, huge names. Coca-Cola, AMD, McDonald's, Starbucks, PayPal, Caesars Entertainment, Mondelez International, Super Microcomputer, which is SMCI, and Lemonade, ticker LMND. Huge, huge, huge names on Tuesday. You know what that means for today? I don't expect much, right? humongous names tomorrow. Amazon, Eli Lilly, McDonald's, Starbucks, PayPal, SMCI, right? AMD. Like I'm not expecting a whole lot. So I feel like today could end up being a nothing burger day because we have so much that's coming tomorrow. Why would you want to make a big move when you've got so much coming on Tuesday, and then we've got Apple, coming on Thursday, and then we've also got Fed on Wednesday. So it's one of those things where this week the game plan will likely be what it is when we're chock full of data is to play light. Right. If you have a day trade opportunity, execute it. But if you don't have to swing something short term, try not to, right? Just because you can get any piece of news that could knock something down from where it is. Um, Finding good long term trades, executing them, making them work, right? That's the bread and butter for times like this. But the week might surprise us, right? If we do get some good day trade opportunities, I'll execute on them, just like last week. If we do get some good short swing opportunities where none of these names that are reporting, really have an effect, then I'm fine on executing on those as well, right? PLTR paying us continuously here over the course of the past 2 days after getting in right before close 2 sessions ago. So yeah, if we can find good tickers that move independent of what's happening and isn't affected by any of these earnings reports, I'm fine with trading them, right? But the main thing here is to not lose your underwear trading a week like this because you've got earnings and I've got Powell and I've got my daughter's birthday and I've also got my son's graduation. It's like if that is the case, then just take it chill, right? Take it chill this week, enter into some long positions and let those cook, right? That doesn't mean do nothing. If you have buying power and you're in nothing, there's plenty of stuff to enter long term that you'll be fine in. But it's like you don't have to force yourself to actively trade the week at all. In terms of earnings spotlight on Wednesday, CVS, ticker CVS reports. Qualcomm, ticker QCOM, Pfizer, Kraft Heinz, MasterCard, Marriott International, DoorDash, MetLife, MGM Resorts, eBay, and DuPont all report. And then Thursday, we get Apple, Shell, ConocoPhillips, Amgen, Booking Holdings, and Fortinet. And then Friday, Hershey, Cheniere Energy, and Magna International. So Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday is like the gamut of earnings this week. We got two members of the Magnificent Seven, Amazon and Apple, that report. And again, with earnings, we saw it last week. Tesla missed on everything and they're up. And then who was it that hit everything? Meta hit everything and they were down. So it does not matter if you think, because of XYZ, they're going to hit their numbers. They can and still drop. So don't use that as a metric when playing earnings. If anything, look for a good post-earnings opportunity. If that opportunity presents itself, cool. If not, fine. We're chill on it, right? Just like on Friday, we had the potential and nothing manifested, so we're not doing anything. Don't force anything, right? You're not owed anything by markets or by earnings or any of that. Wait for a good opportunity, execute on that, remain patient, and continue to execute, right? Wash and repeat, wash, rinse, repeat. Data, any important data? Nope. IPOs, we don't care about IPOs. Remember, IPO stands for what? Drop it in the comments if you know. But we don't care about IPOs because of exactly that. And that looks like that's it there for the week ahead. Let's dive into our Market Watch economic and politics calendar for this week because we always want to double check. There was times when they left stuff out of the newsletter. I'm not, you get me once, shame on you, right? If you get me twice, shame on me. I'm not trying to shame myself. So you double check everything. Inspect what you expect, what my dad always says. So nothing today on the economic front in terms of reports. Tuesday, anything important? Consumer confidence at 10 a.m. That'll be a needle mover for intraday activity. It won't be anything like the effect Powell has, but consumer confidence at 10 a.m. on Tuesday will be a mover in the first half of the day. Wednesday, May 1st, ISM manufacturing at 10 a.m. That's one of those again could within the first hour provide some volatility there. FOMC interest rate decision at 2, Powell at 2:30. Those are going to be the biggest things, right? Amazon earnings, Apple earnings, Powell speaking. Those are going to be the biggest things of the week. So Wednesday, a really, really, really big day. Again, don't go out and try and force things. Like things aren't happening and price action isn't flowing. Do not go out and try and force things because what market makers want to do is get you in a position and make you hold those positions through volatile events so that they can shake you out. Right? They want to say, "Oh, hey, look at this hourly bull flag that's firing here. Doesn't this look nice?" And what we get breakout, and then we sit on top of it and we chop over, and then we're chopping on top, and then next thing you know, I'm sitting here like, "Oh man, I got in these call lottos and they're down, 35%, and I'm going into Powell speaking, and it's like you have yourself in a stressed out, anxiety induced state that makes it really, really tough to execute in the correct way. So patience is very important. Patience is how you get paid in this game. So make sure that you have it this week, and use the resources available to you. By that I mean me. Thursday, May 2nd, really just going to be the earnings that are most important. Jobless claims in the morning, but haven't really cared about that too much. Friday, May 3rd, U.S. employment report and the unemployment rate. Those things could be important, right? That could affect how we move on Friday. So those will be the biggest things in terms of the close of the week. But we've got unemployment data Friday before market open, something to take note of. Um, so what you swing into Friday, have that written down, right, or add it to your calendar, whatever, and set an alert for when it matters, right, the day before. You don't need to be alerted on Friday that you're getting that data. You need it Thursday at 3 p.m. as you're making your decisions during power hour of what to swing into that next day. Um, yeah, that's pretty much it. So Wednesday is going to be the biggest day with Powell in that press conference at 2:30 p.m. So let's make sure we're ready for that. You already know my strategy. Fade the first move, baby. Worked last time. Looking to see it work this time too. Now let's get into our Monday specific news. Mm-mm-mm-mm-mm. All right, and let me check on you. All right, cool, awesome, awesome. Loving to see everybody here this fine morning. Oh, I see nobody typed out what IPO means. Y'all still must be hungover from the weekend. I know you out there partying, thinking, "Oh, I gotta pregame this crazy move for markets this week." But IPO stands for it's probably overpriced, so that's why we do not indulge in IPOs because it's probably overpriced IPO. So whenever, your friends at the barbershop are like, "Hey, they're dropping this new, so and so, and this company is going to be the next, NVIDIA and da da da." Okay, it's IPOing. All right, I'll wait on it. I'll wait on it. And that's not even like a consideration. Even the company backed up publicly by Warren Buffett took a long dump after its IPO in snow. So, and you can't have a better IPO case than that. In terms of top news for Monday, self-driving push. Tesla is steadily moving ahead with its plan to roll out its self-driving technology in China, reportedly reaching a deal with Baidu, ticker BIDU, to access the local search giant's mapping license for data collection on Chinese roads. Baidu is expected to also provide its lane-level navigation system to Tesla. The news sent shares of Tesla jumping around 8% before the bell on Monday, while Baidu's ADRs soared close to 6%. To note, both companies already have a partnership under which the automaker's vehicles use the Chinese company's navigation map in China. So that explains, I mentioned how Tesla was looking, bullish and moving up pre-market. Looks like this deal they reached with Baidu to access their local mapping license data is the culprit. So it's always nice when you hear positive news about an American company in China, just because it is a very hostile environment for them to thrive, and really none of them have, especially when it comes to tech companies. Um, but hey, at this point, I feel like Tesla and all the investors are just whatever little bone they can get their hands on. They're like, please, please give me good news. They've been, Chinese water tortured with bad news, where it's just like, drip, car recall, drip, issue with the brakes, drip. We are literally collecting drops of water inside of the Cybertruck's frame, right? So it's just kind of painstaking drip after drip. So even with earnings, kind of coming in below what consensus expected, investors latched onto those positive pieces, and they continue to do that here with this Baidu info, especially since it was already a pre-existing relationship. Musk in China, the latest agreement was a result of Tesla CEO Elon Musk's trip to China, where he met with Chinese Premier Li Qiang and other officials just over a week after the billionaire canceled his planned India visit, citing very heavy Tesla obligations. Musk also reportedly sought approvals for the launch of Tesla's driver assistance program, full self-driving in China, and permissions to transfer local data abroad. Transferring data is an important part of training Tesla's algorithms for self-driving. Since 2021, Tesla has kept data collected in China on servers in Beijing and hasn't sent it to the US to comply with Chinese regulation. Digging deeper, China requires that all driving assistance systems get a mapping service license before operating on public roads in the country. For this, foreign companies need to partner with any of the dozen local firms that are licensed. Baidu is among the Chinese companies that have this license. The license would legally allow Tesla to operate its FSD software on Chinese roads and gather data on road layouts in nearby buildings. It is not immediately clear if the collected data will belong to Tesla or Baidu. FSD hopes. In the backdrop of slowing demand and growing competition, Tesla last week slashed FSD prices by a third to 8,000 in the US. Launching FSD in China would be a significant step. Significant step as Chinese EV makers pose a real threat to Tesla's market share. Insert BYD. Right. Musk recently said Tesla may bring the software to China very soon. Quote, while the company is yet to have successes that justify its valuation, a breakthrough with FSD or something else could turn that around. Investing group leader of the value portfolio recently said. Now, currency, yen intervention. The Japanese yen strengthened against the US dollar on Monday, a public holiday with traders speculating that it's likely due to intervention by authorities to support the currency after it hit its lowest level in over 3 decades just last week. The yen strengthened to trade around 155 against the dollar from as high as 160 earlier today. These moves have all the standard characteristics of currency intervention. The line in the sand at 160, the sharp increase in volume and the size of the move, said Francesco Pezzole, FX strategist at ING. It remains unclear if there was a one-off move or part of an intervention campaign. I'm not big when it comes to currencies, but if you are someone that's involved in Forex, right, then this news is relevant to you. In terms of tech, AI-powered iPhone, Apple and OpenAI resumed talks on integrating the startup's generative AI capabilities into the new iPhone, expected later this year. The discussions mark a renewed attempt by the tech giant to add AI features to iOS 18, the next iPhone operating system. Talks with Microsoft-backed OpenAI about a potential deal began earlier this year, following similar discussions with Alphabet to add Gemini to the iPhone. Apple may opt for a deal with both OpenAI and Alphabet or prefer one over the other. Apple's Q2 results are due on Thursday, and traders will closely watch for comments on its strategy to integrate Gen AI functionality into the iPhone. This is important, right? And you guys know I've been, the stock market will always be, my first love, but it's just that new flame, just investigating and utilizing and executing on everything AI related and really taking advantage of this amazing time that we're in has been a freaking blast. And I don't know if you received the email, if you didn't check the email, but we've been talking about, right? Was asked about, was kind of, you guys stayed on my butt about it. And we're going to run a 3-day event just around AI. So first day will be stocks related to AI because there's a lot of moves these big tech companies are making, just like these talks that Apple is having behind closed doors about integrating AI into its hardware. We're going to talk about this next wave of AI stocks, right? It has this ripple effect where, of course, the chips will start to run, but there are other sectors surrounding AI other than just chips that will also run because AI is running, right? When you have Apple pouring this much money into a Microsoft, Alphabet, right? The amount of just storage and cloud computing and data centers and all the infrastructure that will need to be in place to lift up the ascension of AI. There are companies that are a lot less known than NVIDIA and AMD that we're going to be covering, and then going over how to use these tools, how to talk to them, the major large language models and how to get the most out of them, where you could be using them in your job as well as your own company in order to increase cold leads, conversion, client nurture path, right? All of it. There's so many, even internally, when it comes to standard operating procedures, SOPs, onboarding, like so much. And we're at Holland & Holland helping a lot of companies do that now because they don't know how to integrate it. And this is stuff where, like, it can be done fairly quickly when you know how to use the tools. But just a great time to be alive and a great time to show your value to the world and consequently get paid from it. So just like Apple's looking to integrate it, you should look to integrate it as well. And if you're not registered, I'm Better Daily. I am Better Daily, right? Letter I am. I'mBetterDaily.com. Go ahead and check that out. Kaizen, July 19th through the 21st. Those evenings, we'll have our first live teaching session of the year. Very pumped for that. Mergers and acquisitions. Final offer. Skydance Media reportedly made its best and final offer in its bid to merge the company with Paramount Global, ticker Para, whose shareholders have opposed the deal and called for the consideration of other offers. The Redstone family and David Ellison made concessions to make a change in control at Paramount more amenable to smaller investors. The company's CEO, Bob Bakish, is also expected to be fired as early as this morning over his reported opposition to the merger. Paramount's special committee is still undecided about agreeing to a deal with Ellison. The media giant is scheduled to report Q1 earnings after the close on Monday. So yeah, I mean M&A. It's not a good landscape for mergers and acquisitions. The FTC and this administration, the Biden administration, as we've talked about countless times, has been super tough on these deals. Pretty much none of them are going through. So I don't even know why. I'd wait for a different president to be in office to try and strike up these deals rather than do them now. In Asia, Japan closed because of the holiday. Hong Kong up 0.5%, China up 0.8%, India up 1.3%, London up 0.5%, Paris up 0.1%, Frankfurt down 0.1%, the Dow up 0.1%, literally flat, S&P up 0.2%, basically flat, NASDAQ up 0.3%. 0.3% is when I start to register like, okay, we're up. Crude down 0.2%, gold up 0.2%, Bitcoin down 1.9% to 62,400. Today's economic calendar, nothing really important. So our rapid fire stock news rundown comes here. Biden administration imposes sweeping regulations on power plants. U.S. to rush Patriot missiles to Ukraine as part of $6 billion aid package. BHP may improve Anglo-American bid after rejection. Republic First Bank shut in 2024's first bank failure. Disney character workers in California move to unionize. Man, that streak of unionization, were we on that or what? It's been a year and a half straight of unionization moves of companies that, have not unionized previously. World Health Organization picks dominant variant JN1 for next set of COVID vaccines. Yeah, whatever happened to all those variants that were running around here, huh? They hit that, what's the gif where the kid does the piece and then he fades away? The variants did their best impersonation of that GIF. Turkey, ExxonMobil in talks for multi-billion-dollar LNG supply deal. Elliott Management builds big stake in Warren Buffett-backed Sumitomo. Credit card delinquency rates fall in March as consumers keep spending. And then cannabis retailer MedMen files for bankruptcy in Canada. Cannabis. Holland making our first foray into the cannabis space as well. That'll be very exciting. Something that those bots that I'll be talking about in the challenge as well in that 3-day online Kaizen event. Those bots are something that we're heavy integrating into this, acquisitions deal that we're doing with this cannabis company. So excited for that. It's had my schedule super busy. I feel like AI stuff, stock stuff, it's had me super busy and put together an AI presentation that was part of something that my mom debuted in Chicago, and now I've got a calendar that's chock full of AI integration consultation meeting Zooms about how to integrate more of this tech into what they're doing in the beauty industry, which is just funny. Like you never imagine yourself doing this stuff, but then you put one foot in front of the other, and it sparks your interest and you learn, and then now you've got a whole other world that you've kind of opened yourself up to. But I promised that I was going to make sure that knowledge was dispersed here. I'm always going to watch out for my people and my people first. So I put a date on it. It's out there. Early bird registration is live. I'mBetterDaily.com. Look it up. Get there. Get your seat, and let's learn. Right? Let's learn. Whether it's 5 people or 50 people, right? We continue to crush it. Always stay ahead of the curve. This is that time where it's like, again, the internet, the app store, the invention of AI. So make sure your head is not on the chopping block at your job, that your company is the one that's making it easy and frictionless for customers to check out and for your workers and employees to get their work done. And let's make life easier for you, right? Speaking of easier for you, let's stick to the game plan this week, execute markets, and get 1% better daily. Kaizen, baby. I'll see you back here tomorrow morning on YouTube for our next Premarket Prep session. Have a good one.